Oh boy.
Good times.
Here
I'll tell
we
you
go.
what, PLo, if we can ever get, we're kind of, whetting our appetite here and getting used to doing these things after horrible days. So, not that we haven't done it after when. You remember, like when we first started doing the lives, like we won like so many games in a row. Maybe it's our fault.
Yeah. It's our fault because
It's like we
got the reverse effect in
like a
football, I
day
guess.
or two before we were like, we're gonna do one,
Yeah.
and we just blew it out of the park for a while. We were like, I don't know, 5 or 6 games, like whether it be basketball or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we were like, you know what? Let's just do it after every football game, and we just keep losing. So,
Yep.
so I guess it could be our fault as well. But greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to another live post-game episode of To the Top Talk. That is my dog.
He's getting
barking,
after it.
and
He's
it could be.
off. I hear people.
It could be a pizza. It could be Mr. Eric stopping by to pick up Jack to go do a sleepover.
Jeremy McLean.
Well, boy, that would be a better podcast.
Would be. Everybody
That'd
wants
be
to hear.
fantastic. But no, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles fall yet again.
Again?
Final of 44-28 to the Arkansas State Red Wolves.
Butch Jones.
Here's another funny thing, PLo.
Yeah.
The cup that I decided to drink out of during this episode.
I hadn't even gotten a drink yet.
Okay, that I decided to drink out of this for this episode. It says, "Start the day with gratitude."
Ah. Well, when you were holding it up there, it kind of looked like Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty's teacup. Remember that green teacup he used to hold? Did you ever watch that show?
I didn't.
Oh, it was great.
I know who you're talking about, though.
Great television there for a while.
Television.
It was entertaining. It was entertaining for sure.
Well, Southern Miss football has set the bar pretty low. So you might be right about that. Yeah. But no, so Southern Miss drops again. Final score of 44-28. We gave up 21 points in the first quarter to a team that is averaging 19 points per game. So it didn't start off great, right?
Yeah.
Rayner killed us. Shocker. We previewed him. Everybody remembers him from last year when he single-handedly kind of won that game. If we don't knock the starter out, we probably win last year. I wonder how that game, how the dominoes fall if we don't knock the starter out of the game last year versus Arkansas State. Rayner never comes in. We win that game. How does our season go differently last year? And how does Arkansas State's season go differently?
And I don't know. The fact that you just remembered that is impressive to me because I don't remember that at all.
I could have misremembered.
No, you're probably right. I just, unless we win, I usually just file that away into the archive of let's never think about that again.
So I'll run through some stats really quick, and we will go ahead. And
there is a stat on this list that's improved.
If there is, I saw that.
Not to bury the lead.
I saw. Well. This goes back to the whole we're plugging holes with our fingers in a dam.
Yeah, exactly.
Type of deal, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things did. It's just you always talk about fast starts. In your three things, and
it was just for Arkansas State.
It was the exact opposite. All right, so here's the deal.
Maybe I didn't specify fast start for the Eagles.
I figured it was your fault.
Yeah, I did.
So, we didn't tailgate today. We did 4th Street Bar. First time I ever tailgated in my life. Well, I mean, we did go to 4th Street, so I guess we were tailgating. Anyway, it's a great crowd in 4th Street Bar. I love that bar. You guys show these bars some love, not just 4th Street, but other bars. During these times where the football team sucks so bad, bars are taking a hit. Like I was talking to them, they're like, when things are going good before the game, there'll be like 500 people. When things are going bad, there'll be like 15 people. That affects bars. That affects people getting the tips. That affects everything. So show some love. And hell, the university is not doing us any favors anyway on campus. You can't tailgate here. You can't tailgate there. You can't drive your golf cart here. So go show the bars.
Yeah, the parade route went by nobody because nobody could be there when it came on campus. Nobody could.
You pick a way to suck and do something bad, and we excel at that as a football team, as a program, as a university. No good whatsoever. But what else started off there to kind of circle the loop here. So I was went to 4th Street Bar, and we left at right about kickoff. We were leaving 4th Street Bar to decide to come up, and we were down 7 points just like that. I'm going, damn it. So I had to take Katie home because she had to go do some work, and then I was headed up to the game. By the time I took her home, we're down 14.
It's like, what? Took a lot of wheels.
I don't even.
Golf cart
I don't
back
even.
to campus.
I know.
It's like
4th Street Bar.
I did look down there, and I'm like, I don't see Jason. And then I looked like a little bit later, and I was like, oh, I see you. Gray hoodie.
Yeah. Well, and we did score. As I was kind of walking in, we scored that first touchdown. So the team did show a little bit of fight. But getting to some of these stats, total yards for Arkansas State, 467. Total yards for Southern Miss, 365. Rushing yards. If I told you that we would have run for 178 yards.
87.
You probably would have taken that. Right?
Yeah. 187.
Mine says 178. Either way.
Maybe that's like net, but ESPN has 187.
Okay. This is net.
Okay.
But Arkansas State ran for 281. Average yards per rush for Arkansas State, 7.2 yards. I don't know why you would ever, if you can run it at an average of 7.2 yards per carry, why would you ever even attempt
I say that every week. I've said that the last 2 weeks with teams, the last 2 teams we played. I'm like, they're getting 8 yards a carry almost. Like, why would you ever drop back and throw it?
Southern Miss did score 4 rushing touchdowns. And Arkansas State only scored 2. So that was good. Passing yards were dead even. Net passing yards, 186 for Arkansas State, 187 for Southern Miss. And passing, as much as I like to bang on Crawford for his inefficiency with passing the football, because I just don't think he's a very good thrower of the football. I think he's good in a lot of areas. It's just throwing the football is not one of them. When you're a quarterback, it's not great. But we went 15 of 23. 15 of 23? Yeah, 15 of 23 for 187. So that's a 65% completion percentage clip. I think that's kind of topping out for what Crawford can probably do, right?
Well, honestly, I kind of felt at points in the game that some of the throws he was making was better, and I thought we should have thrown it a little bit more. I felt like,
yeah,
I honestly did. There were times where, like the early ball to Mims. You didn't see that, but first play of the game, we drop back and there's a deep post to Mims, and it's open. And Mims drops it. And
that's another reason you can't throw it, right?
I mean, I get that, but that really wasn't Crawford's fault. I mean, it may have been a touch out in front of him, but you got to come down with it.
He can't throw it.
The deep pass he threw to Jaslowski in the 4th was decent.
For every pass that you can say he threw decently, I have 10 of them that he didn't. I mean, it just is what it is, man.
Yeah, I get that.
I wish he was better. He's not. And look, I'm not. And look, I think the offense did enough. I think the offense really, all these stats that we've just mentioned, we scored 28 points. Arkansas State averages 19 points per game, right?
Yeah.
So that's enough. As much as I like to bang on Crawford, he did enough. He did plenty to win. 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
The efficiency that with the 65% clip, that's good enough. At the end of the day, we lost again. It's really easy to look at things like missing wide open receivers, but at the same time, Crawford wasn't playing defense. Crawford didn't give up 44 points, right?
Yeah,
44 freaking points. 7.2 yards per rush is just unacceptable in every way, shape, and form. Hey, by the way, so glad we fired DOB, right? That worked out.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Well, and not only like my problem is like they're not only running it, like they're running it right up the gut, and we can't stop it.
Not even special. Yeah, not even tricky plays.
Just right up, right in our face. And like again, I think I texted this in the first quarter. It's another week where I felt like we were outmatched in speed. We looked slow, they looked fast. Like that opening play, that second touchdown, that dude, he got to the corner. We didn't have a chance. He was gone. I mean, he could have ran for 300 yards straight, and we wouldn't have caught him. I don't know. Lots of people in the Twitter space. If you want to chat, you want to talk, request, start letting that roll in. Got a lot of comments, but two things is positive. I was on campus at about 10:30 this morning and stayed through the end of the game, so that's almost 12 hours on campus, but cooked an insane pot of jambalaya, and every bit of it was gone. It was amazing. Posted some pictures out there. And this awesome hat. How about this hat?
Hey, PLo. So I'm checking this out. So Arkansas State was just 3 of 14 on third downs.
Yes.
And Southern Miss was?
Drum roll while I do it. I do know. We were 6 of 14.
6 of 14.
Yeah, but here's the kicker. They were 4 of 4 on fourth down. So, yeah, they didn't get a lot of those third downs, but they got every fourth down.
So it was third and manageable.
Yeah.
And we were actually 3 and extremely manageable.
We were actually 3 of 4 on fourth down, which we have not been very good this season on fourth down.
No. Offense probably did enough. You know, it's when you give up 44 points, that's I mean, we've talked about it on the pod. Does Southern Miss have the ability to win a shootout? No. Right? Just and it doesn't matter. I'm not a big Crawford guy, but it doesn't matter. I don't think Southern Miss just doesn't have the ability. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback.
Yeah, honestly, this has been the first game in a while. The time of possession, so Arkansas State 31-13, and we had it for 28-47. So, that's been really lopsided. I was looking through some stats on Friday afternoon because I like to torture myself, and we are coming into this game. We were 133 in the country, which is dead last in time of possession. So,
Good times.
Yeah, which speaks to inefficiency on offense to move the ball.
All right, we'll get us caught up on some comments.
Yeah, here's one. Hi, friends. This sucks. Hey, Destiny. Thanks for tuning in. Missed you last week. Crawford, pocket passer, no. Best quarterback.
Yeah, and Trey and I were kind of going back and forth during the game, and I mean, yeah, he's not wrong about that, but it still doesn't mean that he's a good quarterback. It means he's a good player. I'm not ever saying that he's not a good player. I think that throwing the football is a pretty big part of playing quarterback, and I don't think he's very good at that.
Yeah.
So now I think that we could use him in a different way to make him more effective.
Yeah.
It's square peg, round hole. For a lot of the times. Now, would we all agree that when we didn't get tricky, weren't doing those flip passes behind the line and all of that, that when it was just snap it, run this way, snap it, hand it off that way, snap it, quick read and go.
Yeah.
The offense looked okay.
Yeah.
We try to get tricky. Anything.
Yeah, that little reverse play that we played and turned it over, and then they reviewed it, and then they did turn it over. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sutton says, well, what does that say about us then?
What does that say about us?
Yeah, we were talking about like.
Oh, well, Trey, look, everybody knows. It's terrible all the way around. I guess, Trey, here's what the deal is. When we have to get on after these games, what do you say at this point? We're no good? That's not breaking ground, right? It's. PLo, it's probably the same way if you're sitting at a bar right now, you're talking to the guy next to you. I mean, what do you what do you say? Like, hey, we need to get rid of the coach. Well, no shit, right?
Yeah, you can't. You can't
Hey,
hurt
like,
me.
even me saying that, you know, the intricacies of the offense, like we should make it simpler. I mean, I'm sure everybody thinks that's the case. Our offensive line sucks. I mean, we've brought up all this stuff. It's like week after week after week after week, we're saying the same exact thing. So
Yeah,
all I can do is just reference what I just saw with my eyeballs, and it's just not good enough. Now, all of that again is we're focused on offense because I think that's just an easier way to do it. All of us want to see us score the ball and score points every single time that we get it,
sure.
and that's not going to happen. And we've referenced it already. The offense at the end of the day probably did enough to win the game if the defense holds up their end of the bargain.
Yeah,
If you score 28 against a team that averages 19 points, I feel like the offense did enough. Does this team have the ability to win a game where we have to score more than 44? And I don't think anybody on here says that's yes, right?
yeah.
So
Michael, we feel you.
so it's really not an indictment on Crawford as much as it is just we're just no good. Our
Yeah.
team's just no good. We're just not a very good football team. So
Let's try to get to somebody here. I do have a request. Let's make sure.
Hit
Hopefully
it.
it works. Chad, you should be good to go if you'll unmute.
Chad,
Hear me?
Yep, we got you.
got you.
All right, I'll give you something different to talk about. You can start talking about Jeremy McClain at this point, because
What about?
have you heard Jeremy utter a word about this situation? I haven't. I haven't seen him post anything online. I haven't heard him say a single word about any of this. His silence has been deafening.
All right, let me ask you
And
this.
then
Okay, so if Hall's gone, you feel better, right?
I don't want to get into if Hall's gone. I want to get into mismanagement of the athletic program.
Well, that's just
We have a strength and conditioning coach that's making $185,000 a year, who's the fourth highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the SBC, and he's the 66th highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the country. Okay? Do we look like we're strength and conditioned? And he's obviously not handling any of the nutrition stuff because we lost that person. We're paying another guy who should have been fired as offensive coordinator because we extended him out. And we've got the fifth or sixth highest assistance pool in the conference. Okay? Now, James Madison, who's one of the better run programs in the conference, is paying their assistants and their coach about $500,000 less than we're paying ours. And they have a budget that's twice as big as ours. So let's talk about the management of the athletic program and the fiscal irresponsibility that's been shown and the waste of the money. Okay? So we can move this on up the ladder at this point because it's obvious that people are allowing nepotism hires like Rory Thornton as some dude from Amory as our director of football operations who worked at the city as parks and recreation manager over the Pee Wee Football League or something. We got all Hall's buddies that have been hired and all this money that's spent, more money than all these other programs are spending. And who's approving these hires? The boss at some point in year 4 should be stepping in and saying, no, we're not going to hire all your drinking buddies to be on staff and on elevated salaries here that are out of line with what we can pay. Okay? Southern Miss is paying 107% of the league average for assistant pools. And Hall's salary is 103% of the head coach salary in the league. Okay? So if you want to rank our athletic budget in the league and then look at what we're paying for football coaching relative to our budget to what other people are paying relative to their budget, we're stupid. So
I feel like you've had this rehearsed.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely done way more research than I have. But look, all right, so here's the deal, Chad. Yeah, I mean, and Jeremy wants to pull the plug. So if you're Jeremy and you pulled the plug 2 weeks ago and you had 45 people quit the very next day, whether it be redshirt, whether it be entering the portal, and you don't have enough players to play for the rest of the year, would that have been responsible?
No, but he could come out and say, I understand the fans' concern here. This problem is going to be addressed at the end of the year, and we are going to be starting to search for a new coach. You don't have to relieve him of his duties, but you can come out and tell the fans, hey, we know this is a problem. This is unacceptable for our program, and we're going to start a coaching search.
That's fair.
Hall's going to finish out his tenure.
No, I
don't think you can say that. I don't think you can come out and say Hall's going to finish his tenure.
Why can you not say that? Why? He's contractually obligated. He is contractually.
That's the same exact thing of firing Hall. It's the same exact thing. Look, look. Nobody thinks that Hall's going to be around. Nobody thinks Hall's going to be around. Do you think Hall's going to be around at the end of the year?
God, I hope not. But I've heard Jeremy say not a word. Seen no indication on him on anything.
Well, this is how Jeremy operates. He's very close to the vest, and but anybody can read between the lines and see that this is the way it's going. But I feel your frustration.
But the bigger problem beyond that is the mismanagement of our funding. How are these others? We always like, oh, well, we can't afford somebody. Oh, we can't get somebody. But look at the payrolls for these other schools. They're getting people that are way more successful than we've been for less money. James Madison has got like $500,000 less in coaching salaries than we do. You think they're a better run program? Because I sure as hell do.
Well, I don't know if you're. I don't do the stats. Like I haven't looked up what James Madison coaches are making.
Their assistant pool's $1.2 million, and ours is $1.67 million.
So you're talking about
they're paying their assistants $400,000 less. They're paying their coach $675,000. We're paying $825,000.
That's also their second year or first year in Division I, right?
Well, why were we paying Hall 4 years ago with less money?
So do you think we should? So you think we should pay people less?
Able to get somebody cheaper? Like, why are these other schools able to hire people for less and we're not?
These other schools, you talk about one school, right?
No, well, let's talk about ULM's paying their coach this year. New coach.
ULM, look,
ULM is way more broke than we are.
They just beat our ass, and they're leading on our division of the conference. You can
I get it. Hey, and look, man. Hey. First of all, I understand your frustration, but again, you're not telling us anything that we don't. I mean, nobody on here is going to be like, yeah, you're wrong. We're great. The football program is moving in the right direction. I get it, bro. You're talking about Jeremy McClain. With the football program, this will be addressed, right? And he whiffed on this hire. I thought that Hall was a great. Hold on, let me go back for a second, Chad. Did you think it was a bad hire when we made the hire?
Yes.
It's really easy to say that now. Why did you think so then?
No, I had friends of mine was like, oh man, his dad's a high school coach in Mississippi. We're gonna be able to recruit, blah 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 blah. And I'm looking, I'm like, he just doesn't impress me. I mean, he did not impress me. He just doesn't have. I mean, besides, since we had Fedora, we really haven't had. I mean, Monken was a oddball intellectual genius, so he kind of his personality didn't fit his results. But all these other guys have been just like duds.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, You
need somebody that's going to come in young, fired up, talking shit. Like we're going to, not. Oh, well, shucks, Mayberry's in town, and we're going to, and I know the Joneses up in Smithville, and I can tell you about their family tree.
Got you, Chad. Hey, get it. Hey, you're frustrated. We understand. You hate Will Hall. Nobody thinks he's going to be around any longer. Thanks for the call. Patrick, go to the next.
Yep. Yeah, this will be interesting. We got the next guy I'm going to throw up here will have an interesting perspective, and I think he's going to speak to that call. So. Okay.
Are we up?
Jerry, you should be good if you unmute.
Jerry?
Yep.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing good. This is Jerry from
Rage and Review.
Rage and Review. Welcome in, buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, just wanted to I saw y'all were doing the post game, and I wanted to come compliment you guys. Y'all do a fantastic job, and we're really happy to have this great rivalry between our two schools, and it's made it a lot of fun since Southern Miss has joined the conference. I wanted to come in and hear what you guys had to say. I know y'all are going through a tough time right now, and look, I'm gonna be honest with you. We've been there before. During that 11-game win streak you guys had on us, You beat us at points when we were at the lowest of our lows. In the late '90s and the middle of the early 2000s, and one of and I wanted to comment because your previous I think it was Chad, or was his name Chase, or sorry, Chad that was commenting on the budget. And I was kind of, and look, I definitely understand his concern, and I kind of wanted to, I guess I had a few questions in regards to the financials, because one of the things that turned our program around, like we started turning things around in the early 2000s and we started winning again. The first big investment we made was an indoor facility. We built it, I want to say, in like 2007. It was my freshman year. And from there, we really, really started investing in facility improvements. And then eventually we started the RCAF, our foundation, increased the budget to where we were building more facilities. In 2015, we built the Athletic Performance Center. And then we added the seats in the end zone, Cajun Field, kind of like you guys did at The Rock. And then right now we're going through an $80-something million stadium renovation. And really what all that has done is it's really attracted recruiting. But one of the things that attracted Billy Napier to coming to UL was the fact that we were committed to facilities and the resources necessary for those, bigger weight room, nutritional facility, and with that comes staff. And so I guess my question for you guys right now, with kind of the situation you're in, has there been a commitment to facilities at Southern Miss as far as trying to enhance what you have to kind of create that aura? Because I think, in my opinion, like you guys have already, I always call you guys the original Boise State. You were like the first real mid-major to break through in college football. And I just get this vibe that ever since Larry Fedora left, there's a mindset in the Southern Miss administration as if y'all could live in that era today, when in reality you have to evolve a little bit when it comes to the resources. You know what I mean? So I guess my question is, like, facility wise, like, has there been a commitment there?
There's a what was the total up to, Patrick? Like 180 million that we raised with the total foundation. So, as far as like Jerry, exactly what all that's earmarked for, I know that basketball is on the front burner, right? And then the updates at the Pete have been released to the recruits. I haven't seen them. And as far as football goes, an indoor facility would be really nice. We would never use it, but it would be really nice, and people could look at it. And like you said, it would probably help recruiting. But as far as recruiting goes, Jerry, you live in this world, right? The recruiting's been fine as far as the numbers go. So, like, would the numbers improve that much? I don't know. How much would we use it when it rains a whole lot? Probably a little bit. But as far as the funding part of it, yes, the city has gotten behind Southern Miss with this 1% tax, and that's been going for 4 years now. But most of that has been earmarked for Reed Green Coliseum, because let's just be honest, that's where you got to start.
I think a lot of people, when they think facilities, they automatically think football and like, let's do this. And like, we have all these newer programs like South Alabama with their, aluminum seats and all that stuff. And granted, it's a nice facility. It was just built 5 years ago, whatever. It is the cookie cutter stadium of, where we are. But I think we had bigger needs, like especially with the Reed Green and then the expansion of the Pete. I mean, we can't add more seats there any quicker. I think if we had 10,000 seats, we would sell 10,000 tickets.
Yeah.
So
Right.
So I just think football is good. We're not exactly selling it out, obviously. So I don't think there's been as much. I mean, of course, you can do things to make it better. Concourses, expand them, add more ribbon boards. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff you could do. I think we're spending money, especially on the facility, to try to get a better arena for the city of Hattiesburg, and obviously for basketball and things like that. It's just kind of out of order. I feel like.
And I totally get it for basketball, because I know your arena is a little older, and I know that I've seen the renderings. It looks great, and for what they're able to do with it, I think it's going to be great once it's finished. I mean, the Pete, I remember you guys did a huge renovation about 15 years ago, and then you're still modernizing your stadium today. And of course, the atmosphere there is second to none, which is great. But I think the reason why I bring up facilities is really because facilities is sort of a tangible proof of commitment to the program. And you guys are talking about how the administration there's a sense of complacency with football, whether it's with Will Hall or the decisions they've been making. And I just feel like, when you make a move on facilities and you're spending that kind of money, the commitment goes beyond just the facilities. There's a certain, vibe, a perception of, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Now we got to take that extra step, and that's where I think, to be honest with you, as an outsider looking in, that I think that's where Southern Miss is lacking a little bit. Is the fan base is there, like you guys are passionate. The concerns, I mean, talking to you guys going into the game when we played you a few weeks ago, and the number of your fans that were like, "Hey, look, please put us out of our misery." I'm not gonna lie, that kind of shocked me a little bit. It did, because I'm used to, the fan base being like into it, and I get why you feel the way you feel.
Sure.
But to me, there has to be a commitment with the administration. And when I bring up facilities, it's tangible, but it's sort of a big example of, okay, if we're going to put this much money in, it's an investment, right? If I'm going to invest, I got to get a return. And I'm just kind of wondering if that mindset is there, whether it's, again, maybe new facilities or something to get some energy into that administrative building, because the potential's there, guys. You guys you've been successful. We've seen what Southern Miss can do at its peak.
Sure.
And so that's where I'm just kind of, I'm trying to figure it out with you, because I want, like, even though, like, I'd love to beat you guys every time we play, it's like I talk about with ULM. ULM's been losing for so long, but a good ULM, a good Southern Miss, a good UL, that helps the conference out. It helps all of us out. It makes the conference better as a whole.
Yeah, I guess I mean, to kind of just put a ribbon on it. I think the facilities are being addressed. There are plans in place. For whatever reason, not all of us are privy to exactly what all that money is earmarked for. We have seen the total behind it. And like I said, PLo, I think it's somewhere around that $180 million mark was the last that I saw. I know a good chunk of it is earmarked for the Pete and Reed Green Coliseum. But so to your point, Jerry, I mean, yeah, I guess Jeremy could be a little bit more forthcoming in exactly where all of that money is going to go and exactly what everything's going to look like. But at the same time, it's just not how Jeremy operates. I don't think he wants to put anything out there and then have to walk it back, right? So I think that's just kind of how he does. I think everything's going to look better as we go along. But it's going to start with Reed Green. It's going to move over to the Pete, and really with the Rock. I mean, we're in good shape. It's just we need to win more football games. So, that's just where I stand with it.
Well, like I've always said, man, football drives the bus. So as far as the financial commitment goes, you definitely need to, or they definitely need to find a way to make this thing work. And again, I use facilities as an example because it's the most tangible product of
no doubt
of commitment and perception. And so, look, I'm just, like I said before, guys. I know things seem kind of doom and gloom right now in Hattiesburg, but let me tell you, we've been there, done that. So we know what it's like. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not going to last forever, but it starts with leadership, and whether it's the athletic director, the president, Will Hall himself, there needs to be a perception and a mindset that eventually this is totally unacceptable and it needs to change.
Sure.
I don't know how it's going to happen, but and look, like I said, we've been there and we got out of it. I know Southern Miss will too, but just want to call and say hey, and you guys do a great job.
Hey, congrats on the win over the Beach Chickens.
No doubt.
Thank you. Yes, we avenged 2020.
There you go.
2020. So
usually pulling for you guys, man.
Yep, no doubt.
Well, we appreciate that. But
hey, Jerry,
anyway, guys, y'all have a good night. I'll continue.
Jerry, before you go, is there a mascot yet?
Unfortunately, no, man.
Dude, y'all got to roll with that gator. That one was awesome. the rendering
honestly,
or whoever did that. That was so cool.
What's crazy is like for you guys, you've got the Eagles, so we already know like okay, you know what you got Seymour, he's great. For us, it's so subjective because we could do a Gator, we can do somebody looking like Farmer Fran, we can do
Bobby Boucher.
we've had a Cajun chicken, Bobby Boucher, we can do them all, but
Yeah.
I mean, we just need something. Give me something. And the problem with our mascot right now, we have all our fans that are like, well, I want this, I want that, I don't like this. I'm like, who cares? Just get a freaking
Just something.
mascot. Just get something, something, anything. So
Oh,
that's our dilemma. Getting a doggone mascot.
yeah. Crawfish would be awesome.
Love it.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't scare the kids, if it doesn't scare the kids, I'll be okay with that.
Well, you're going to have kids that are scared of anything.
A crawfish cannot scare any kid in South Louisiana.
That's true.
Look, a pelican looked harmless, and you saw that first pelican mascot that the New Orleans Pelicans had. So anything's possible.
Or the king cake baby too. That was terrifying.
Yeah,
Still have nightmares
Goes
about that.
straight out of a horror movie.
Jerry, thanks so much,
Jerry,
buddy.
thanks for calling in, buddy.
All right, guys.
All right, I'm gonna get to Jay. He's been waiting a while. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Sorry,
Hey, Jay.
my mic muted. Y'all doing all right?
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah, as good as we can.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, before I get into it, as far as Louisiana goes, I've always thought we need some type of like trophy or something between our rivalry. Like I've always thought like maybe like, some gimmick trophy to draw more attraction to the game. Like maybe the battle for the golden possum or something, I always thought we needed something pretty cool, but
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so as far as the topic at hand, I think obviously we're all in agreement that we stink, and Paul's time is he's going to be gone soon. We're going to get a new coach. When it should or when it will be announced, that's kind of up for debate. But to me, I mean, our glaring issue, and I know some of y'all and others on social media have harped on this a lot in the past few weeks and months, and probably even a couple past few years, is the main thing to me more evident is our strength and conditioning and the nutrition or lack thereof. I think we don't have a nutrition program. I want to say, I think it might have been Glenn Dyer that mentioned a few weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, Glenn's
that,
big on that.
Us, and I think Louisiana Monroe, by the way, I think we're the only two teams in the Sun Belt that don't have a paid nutritionist on staff, or a actual nutrition program. I mean, that's kind of troubling to me. I want to say I read where I think towards the tail end of Monken's tenure, he kind of asked for one for a few years, and I think I want to say, I guess it would have been McGillis or Gilbert at the time. I can't remember who it was.
That would have been McGillis.
One of them was we were able to, I guess, procure some type of federal grant that we were able to pay for a nutrition. So we actually ended up getting one, I think, towards either the tail end of Monken's tenure or beginning of Hop's tenure. And we had one. And I remember I remember seeing the news articles, and I want to say we built some type of like nutrition bar in the field house, and it was super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of state of the art and whatnot. And then apparently that grant, that money ran out, and then we never retained that position or whatever. But that's the biggest thing to me is whoever we hire, because we're going to have a new coach. But we've got to go back to investing in a nutrition program. If us and Louisiana Monroe, which now that they're having some success, it doesn't help us. But if we're the only two programs that don't have a paid nutritionist on staff, I mean, we gotta fix that. Obviously the money. You look at the financials, we're right there in the middle. We're competitive financially in the Sun Belt. So I don't know what we need to do. If my buddy Tyler called me and said, "Hey man, season tickets this next year is going to be a little bit more," and we're making a splash. I'd be like, dude, that's totally cool, dude. I'm totally fine with paying more money on season tickets if I knew there were big things ahead like that. So it's just as far as I know y'all were mentioning about Crawford and whatnot. My theory on Crawford is he's just got better wheels because I think our coaching staff knows they've got about 0.3 seconds to make a decision every snap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rodemaker and John White are probably better polished quarterbacks, but they just don't have the same wheels as Crawford. So
I'm in total agreement, but I feel like the plays being called are identical to the plays that were being called if White or Rodemaker were in there.
Yeah.
I think that if Crawford's in there, just lean into it. Lean into it, bro. It's not Danny Werfel back there. It's Tebow, right? So let's just I feel like and they did try to do some of that tonight. And like we said, the offense did enough. The offense did enough. If the defense did anything at all,
you did. Yeah, you did make a great point about. I didn't realize how many points Arkansas State was averaging. Like you said, if you would have told us before that, hey, we're going to score, 10, 12 more points than what Arkansas State averages, then I'd be like, okay, well, we should be pretty good this game. But then again, how many points? We gave up 40 or 50 to Arkansas State last year with the same quarterback.
Yep.
But it's just, it all kind of goes back
45,
to
37 maybe
was
the final last year.
Yeah,
something around there.
I think so. Of course, that was one of those.
As far as the strength and conditioning thing, yeah, I would like to just put it like under the umbrella of just development. Can we just do that?
Right.
Like whether it's the snacks that they're eating in between, or the
Pop-Tarts,
the weightlifting that they're doing, or the or anything like that. Let's just put it under the umbrella of development. We can all agree that we aren't developing players, right? Chandler Pittman looked like a world beater 4 years ago, and now we don't see him on the field. So either
I don't
he
know
got
why.
worse.
It's another why. I don't know why he doesn't play more. Like him,
he got
Tyler
injured this week.
We've
So
got
he
so
didn't
many
play.
guys. Pittman was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't dress out.
Well, that's another theme over the past 3-4 years, just injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, how many injuries have we gone through, going back to Ty Keys to
and lots
Zach
of lower
Wilkie.
Leg, right?
I mean,
lower leg,
so
extreme.
many.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's bad luck, but I think it all goes back to like kind of your talent, and then the development, and then that's all kind of tied into your nutrition. The thing that just kind of stood out to me was when I read that we don't have a paid nutritionist on staff, because my understanding is, and I don't work in college athletics, so I'm not up to speed. It's new information to me, but if everyone else has a paid nutritionist and at other programs you actually have like tailored nutrition plans for each individual, personalized plans for each individual player. And if we don't have stuff like that, and maybe they're just eating at the fresh every day, is that their nutrition plan? I don't know. It's just, man, that kind of explains so much, because you can really go back to before Will Hall. I remember those past few years under Hobson. I remember we couldn't get a push versus Jackson State. I think it might have been like 2018 or 2019, because we have not had a good offensive line since Monken's recruits left.
The Clinton administration.
When we had when we had Ito Smith and Jalen Richard, and
that 2012 team.
The big bruiser we had, was it Payne? Something Payne?
George Payne.
Like, that was like the last time we had a decent offensive line. And ever since then, and by the way, that was around that time when we had that nutrition program. If the timeline is correct.
Well, we also had some really stellar strength and conditioning coaches in there too.
Yeah, I think it all goes together. I mean, I think all of those are great points. And I know that Glenn's been banging on this nutrition thing. I don't know that I don't want to diminish any of these, but I don't think that if we had the best nutritionists in the world that we'd have like 6 wins right now, right? I think it all kind of
Right.
goes together. So I mean, do we need to improve in pretty much every way, shape, and form as a football program? Yes. Is nutrition one of those? Yes. Is development one of those? Absolutely. Is play calling one of those? Probably. Is recruiting. I think you can look. It's kind of like when you're looking at Reed Green Coliseum, you're like, hey, what do we need to do and improve in here? And you can just like spin around in a circle with a blindfold on, and wherever you stop, you can improve on that area that you're pointing at. That's kind of where we are with our football program. When you're losing, you can easily say, like, you know what? That's why no indoor
Everything
practice
is
facility.
magnified.
Yep.
Here's what's why. It's hot outside and we can't practice. Here's what's why we need an indoor practice facility. It's just that we need more snack
Right. We
bars,
don't
whatever.
want the kids on the field anymore at halftime. That's why it is.
Yes, I
Everything
think
is
you can point to
magnified.
everything, but it's not to diminish the fact that probably all those do need to be addressed. It's just there's so
Right.
many things that where do you start? And when I get to things like nutrition, I'm like, bro, that's got to be pretty far down the list, right? At this point, right? First of all, we need to find the coach. Second of all, we need to find the coach that can find the staff. Third of all, can they recruit? Then after you get all those things in place, yeah, that would obviously help out. If everything is equal, if we are equal to everybody else in the Sun Belt, talent wise, and if we have the nutrition
Because
that
really,
they don't have, then that puts us over the top. But it's got to be at least fourth or fifth. I mean, for me.
Yeah. Well, and also, really, your games are won in the off season when you're training. And if we're behind our peers, so to speak, in the off season, I mean, it's no shock that we're behind in the in season. That's just kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate that.
And as far as facilities and whatnot, and I'll hang up after this, but I know everybody likes to harp on the indoor practice facilities, and you're right that we won't use them that much, but it's kind of crazy. It's because it's kind of irrelevant, the fact that how often you use them, because really all it is literally just a recruiting tool, because you only use them once or twice, depending on how your weather is. But it's just part of the facility's arms race. And it's like, if you're recruiting a kid and they take a visit to Hattiesburg, and like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a nice visit, whatnot. And they go to South Alabama, like, man, they got this nice facility. It's like, you're 17, 18 years old. You're not thinking about, well, how often are we going to use this? Well, is this really going to help? You're just going to be in awe of, man, that was really awesome. Well, I remember they had that. Southern doesn't have that. So,
well, here's the deal. Again, the recruiting numbers show that we are doing well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we recruit skill players pretty well. When you look back at the recruiting classes the past few years, we've had really good skill guys. I would like to see us recruit better offensive linemen. I feel like
so would everybody else
really
in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know offensive linemen it's hard to get good offensive linemen, especially from the portal. But I think a lot of our recruiting classes the past few years have been ranked so high because they've been real heavy on skill players, and that's why you've seen, you look at the recruiting rankings, we've been pretty far up, and it's like, well, the devil's in the details. We've had really good skill guys, but if, like I said, games are won in the trenches. If you can run the ball and you can stop the run, you're going to be really good, and we have not been able to do that.
Yeah.
And so. Anyway, I'll let you guys go. I appreciate y'all.
No, I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, Jay. And Jay's right. It's like we've recruited. It feels like we've recruited with the idea of being able to run the ball, right? With we have talent in the running back. But PLo, you talked about it a lot with the talent that we have. Just if you could ever create a hole, for some of those guys. And even kind of skill position wise, we're just talented all over the place. It's just for whatever reason, none of it works.
Yeah, I mean, and I know earlier I was talking about throwing it more. I wish we would throw it more. It's just, to me, like, you got a guy like Larry Simmons, and then, like, he gets 3 looks a game. Like, that just can't happen. I just feel like...
No, I totally agree that I would love to be able to do that. I just don't think we can.
Yeah.
So
no,
why even
I
try?
I get it. Yeah.
To my, I mean, like I think it's you just again. I feel like we have the perfect guy. If you're ever going to say like, give me someone who can run the super back effectively, and we have him, and we do a little bit of it, like Chase mentioned earlier on the thing that the RPO numbers that we ran tonight. I'm talking about straight up freaking super back, right? And look, if it doesn't work, if everybody thinks this is such a bad idea, what else is working? You know, maybe it won't work. I feel like that's the only thing that Southern Miss has been able to do since Will Hall has been here effectively is the super back. So for whatever reason, we're good at that. It's the one thing we won't try.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, that at least makes a little sense, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Daniel, you should be good to go.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Gotcha.
Awesome. First of all, I just want to say, like, I don't think Will Hall's going to get fired until probably the end of the year.
I think with possibly 3 games to go, that's the timeline.
Yeah. My reasoning being is once that coach is fired, they got 30 days to enter the portal, like immediately.
Mhm.
So that puts us at risk of losing players mid-season.
Right?
And
No, I agree.
I mean, it's already bad, but I just feel like it'll just be worse at that point. So I feel like they're just going to wait till the end of the year, so that window for players to enter is just a little bit smaller. But yeah, and I don't want to harp on it much, but I'm going to go back to what Chad said.
Yep.
My thing is we do not have we like Touchdown Club. You can donate to it, but it's not active. Nobody's running it. Money should be going into that for facilities, for food, nutrition, anything, travel costs, all that jazz.
Good point.
But the thing is, the former guy that was here whenever Hall came in said he was going to do it, didn't do it. He took the checks. I don't know. Nobody knows where the money went. It's probably towards the, athletics for football. I'm 100% sure of that. But we don't know where the money's going. People can still donate to it. It's not active. This Blaylock guy that is now in from Amory does not have any prior experience in athletics. He had a degree in forestry. He worked for forestry and then for the city of Amory for like 15 years. And now he's over the whole budgeting, travel, and everything for football.
You got me.
It doesn't make sense to me. I
have no idea.
So
no, I mean, I didn't even know that.
It just feels wrong, a little bit nepotistic, if you ask me. But why do we have a very underqualified guy running the budgets, running the travel expenses and everything like that, managing facilities and everything for football? And that's the thing. I think that's why he was kind of upset, is because we don't have checks and balances. Why do we have that guy running it?
Well, yeah, I think that's a fair question, and that can be asked of Jeremy.
I mean, I worked in athletics a little while. From what I know, I think you're putting more value into a director of football operations. Is that his role?
Yeah, that is his title.
I mean, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I don't really know much of what they did outside of scheduling hotels and travel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think there was much.
I think they go over certain budgets. I don't know if it's for.
Yeah, but I mean, that has to go all the way up and get approved. That's not like something that they're making a solo decision on.
I think they plan that out and stuff, but it just does not feel right. And also, I'm pretty sure we lost our nutritionist right whenever Hall got hired, because I think we had to cut some corners to pay for assistants. Like, didn't we have to do that? And that was like an issue, because I think that was the reason why Walmack didn't really like the idea of coming here, because he didn't have enough money for nutrition. Or not nutrition, I'm sorry.
Right.
Did we lose him?
Maybe.
I hear an ESPN update. Did you mute yourself? Did you get all fired up and like elbow the? Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're back.
Okay. No, I was just going on about like whenever Hall got hired. I mean, like, we cut some corners to pay for assistants, and I feel like we're overpaying some. And I mean, it just feels like there's a little bit of just not enough regulation with these decisions. And Ankar, I'm not going to bash him much because I think he's a nice guy, but I don't think his strategy of what he's doing is right if we are having this much injuries. Are we not prepping him right? Are we not doing it right? Because, I mean, like on paper, he had a good background, but it just seems like these guys aren't motivated. These guys aren't being held accountable, and that's probably on coaching.
Yeah, you're right. This is 1,000% on the coaching, and that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's.
I mean,
it really, and all the callers tonight, and I think that's what we're doing. We're grasping at straws, trying to figure out the why.
Yeah, and
right, and it really doesn't matter the why, because the point is we're no good. So it really doesn't matter why. Yeah. Like, what did we not do right? I guess if you're looking at the next coach, hey. And maybe that's what Jeremy's going to do at this point, is say, hey, look, this is what didn't work. What are you going to do differently? And I think that's a Jeremy question. Yeah, it's not a PLo and Jason question for sure. But I think it's the natural reaction for all of us fans. That's all we are as fans. And hey, we aren't any good. That team has this. That team has this. Why don't we have that? What's our problem? Mm-hmm. Whereas if we were winning right now, would it really matter? Mm-hmm. So the ultimate
everything's an issue until
we're just no good. The biggest issue is we're just not very good.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say everything is an issue until you win. Yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, I think the root of the cause is probably mistakes whenever establishing culture, because it just feels like there's no accountability, there's no motivation, it's very loose, and I think that just goes back on the coaching. You made some mistakes. You dug too much of a deep hole to get out of. And I mean, sucks to say. I mean, it's probably over for a lot of these coaches, but I mean, I think we have a lot of issues at hand, but I think it just goes back to bad hires and a bad culture.
Yeah, I think that, and look, I'll go down with this ship saying that I feel like Will believes that he did everything that he could possibly do. I don't think Will just sabotaged it. I don't think Will just melded it in saying, I'm getting $800,000 a year. I don't give a damn. And I don't think that happened at all. I think Will tried. I think it just didn't work. I think Will's ultimate downfall is going to be his loyalty to his people. And that's unfortunate, but I think we would all kind of be in that boat if we could put in ourselves. If you have your best friends in the world and you really feel like they give you the best shot, and all of a sudden you hire them, I mean, it just didn't work out. Again, like we're trying to, every time I try to get out of it, we try to get back into the why, and the why doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter why any of this happened. The only thing that matters moving forward is what are we going to do to change it. And and that's where Jeremy comes in. That's where Jeremy, and look, this next hire, very big deal in Jeremy's world, right? It's always a big deal with football.
Oh yeah.
This next one with Southern Miss is one of the bigger decisions that is probably going to be made in college football. So that's the reason that I'm glad we have guys like Jeremy, because he's such a smart dude. He's so calculated. Did he swing and miss on this one? Yes, I think we can all agree on that. If we were all in Jeremy's position, except for that one caller that called in and said, like, no, I think, he said that Will Hall wasn't the guy from the get-go. It's really easy to say at this point. I remember back when all of this was going on, we were looking at Lashley, we were looking at Hall, we were looking at, there's all these coaches we were looking at Womack. Will Hall checked a ton of boxes. And to say that it was just a moronic hire, I think is idiotic.
He checked a lot of boxes. He had had a better resume than Womack too.
Yeah, so it just didn't work out.
Arguing about it, and the thing is, like, I will say, I think that Tulane game last year was enough for me to say I think this is the end for him. But it just looked poorly executed, and I think he tried to make an attempt, but I think he cut the wrong. I think he cut the wrong people.
That's. That's
we can't go down that road. We do have a couple more people requested. So
okay, well, hey, Daniel, thank
appreciate
you very much.
Buddy. All
Couple
right.
more PLo?
Yeah. This one's been waiting a while, so I appreciate you hanging on with us.
No, thank you very much. Who we got?
It's a burner, so I'm on the ban button quickly.
Is this Bleacher Creature?
Oh, nope. Go again because it was a little choppy.
Firewall Hall. Thanks, guys. That's all I've got.
Appreciate you.
You hung on for that long for that?
He's been on here a long time to say that. That's passion. Again, our fan base has got it. Next.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's your name?
How y'all doing this evening?
Great.
I was just Heath, man.
Oh, Heath, what's up, buddy?
What's up, buddy? How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Wonderful night of football in Hattiesburg.
So Heath, let me ask you, out of all the things we've heard tonight, nutrition is a problem. Yeah. Indoor practice facilities is a problem. I think recruiting has been a problem. Play calling has been a problem. Like in your eyes, what's the biggest issue facing Southern Miss football? And this is Heath with Big Gold Nation. Everybody.
My biggest issue with Southern Miss football is decision making by the head coach. I think that's the biggest issue with Southern Miss, decision making. Look, the coach hires the strength and conditioning guy, and let's be honest, there's only one guy that can stay with the team for 365 days out of the year, and that's the strength and conditioning coach, I believe. The other coaches aren't allowed to be around the team at all times. Mm-hmm. I do think nutrition is an issue. I've always said that. I remember I got made fun of because I said, they don't have Southern Miss does have a nutritionist. They just don't have what they call a player's table that all these other schools do, where you come in and you cook food, especially for what the student athletes need. They don't have that, but they got that M Club up there with a nice kitchen that they never use. It's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. You look at Jeremy. People like Jeremy, and you say, what's Jeremy going to say? Even if he says we're going to make a decision at the end of the year, the football players know, okay, my coach is gone, let me jump in the portal. So I'm not sure that Jeremy coming out and saying anything right now is going to make a big of a difference, especially at the beginning of the season when Will Hall even said with his own mouth, look, if I don't win, I'm out. I know that. Will Hall said that. So, I mean, it's not a secret that Will Hall knows that if he doesn't win, he's gone. And Jeremy even said last year, there has to be improvements this year, and there hasn't been. And the football team has not improved. It's just it's a bad situation, and it's not going to get better until you make a change at the top. And I think that'll happen. I think it'll be within the next maybe Texas State, somewhere around. I don't know for sure, but you got to do it within 2 or 3 weeks before you get to the transfer portal opening up. You also got to deal with APR. The graduation stuff. Southern Miss is on probation in 2020. They come off of it this year.
Hey Heath. As far as this portal goes, so when does the portal open up?
December the 4th.
Okay, got you.
December the 4th is when you start.
But if a coach is relieved or leaves, it opens immediately.
Yeah, I think you got like a little time there. So you don't have as much time if you wait later in the season. So you kind of limit the damage there to a certain extent. It's a tricky rule with the portal. And the portal's just, they still haven't got it figured out yet. But, you get a new coach in here, and then he can evaluate what players are here and what players he wants to keep. You get a guy in here early, you have, an assistant take over. But right now, it's just a bad situation all the way around. You need to get somebody in here for high school recruiting, too. The people that are committed right now to Southern Miss maybe not what this new coach wants. It may not fit his scheme. So, it's just – and you look at the athletes you got. Will Hall's wanting to run a pinpoint passing offense with a quarterback like Ethan Crawford, who to me fits better in a Dan Mullen style offense. I think Ethan Crawford in a Dan Mullen style offense where you don't have to have pinpoint passing, I think is perfect. Where you are getting them out on the edges a lot more, which they tried to do tonight, and create throwing lanes that way. It's just it's not working. It hasn't worked, and there's going to be a change. It's just I understand people being upset. I get it. I see it on the board. People are upset, and there's change going to be made. It's just that, sometimes you just have to wait a little bit. And I think in the long run, Jeremy is going to take everything into account and look at what he picked with Will Hall and pick somebody different. I'd like to see him choose somebody just outside. Just get somebody from outside, bring them in, and start afresh. Start afresh with Southern Miss. Bring somebody in. Bring somebody young that can bring some energy into it. Because I felt like the last few years the energy's been dead.
Mm-hmm.
After the start of the season last year, I felt like the energy for Southern Miss football.
And where does
really
that energy start?
That's head coach.
Well,
it starts the head coach.
Head coach.
I felt like it was 2 years ago.
Also, strength and conditioning.
Who was around it way more.
Yeah, strength and conditioning too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Heath,
yeah,
did something happen 2 years ago? I mean, it felt like when Will Hall got the job, and we knew it was going to be a little. Everybody was behind him. Everybody was behind him, right? We even had like this Ted Lasso thing going on, and then and Frank Gore was here, and the Superbag thing was born, and then we ended up going to the bowl game, even though we kind of eked our way into it and beat a team that probably shouldn't deserve to be there, but. Anyway, you slice it. We went to a bowl game, but after that, something changed. Mm-hmm. You, as being around it more than PLo and I, what was that changed in your opinion?
It was Austin Armstrong.
Okay,
it was Austin Armstrong. He was, his defenses were good. His defenses were able to cover up a lot. But here's
the deal. But his defenses didn't provide the snacks. His defense didn't make people go to workouts. His defense didn't hold accountability with the coaches. His defense didn't lead to
but he brought an identity. He brought an identity to the team that hasn't been there since. Yeah. Austin had an attitude and brought an identity to that team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that we have not seen since. Uh-huh. And that team's lacking. You have to have some type of attitude on this team. I think that Will knew that Austin was, going to be a head coach one day. He's young. I think he also knew that he needed to use him and get him in here while he could. I think Austin covered up for a lot of things for Will. And I think that breath of life that Austin was able to drive into the team, I think when he left, it left the team too. And I think you start looking at these players, development-wise, players played better 3 years ago than they're playing now. And that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen.
I think everybody can agree with that. The development has been atrocious.
Development's been atrocious, and you can shape it to strength and conditioning, nutrition, what are they eating? It all is an umbrella there. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is they're not getting it done on the field. And it's not working. And they've got to do something. Will knows that. And they will. Be interesting to see who they tab as a new coach, because it's over with. They're not going to go to JMU and win. They're not going to beat Texas State. And I got a question for you.
Yep.
He who must not be named, that coach. We don't need to name his name.
Mm-hmm. He could beat the shit out of this team.
Would his team beat this team?
Yeah.
I said the same thing because he hung with Louisville. He did a couple of other things. I think that team would beat this team. I think this may be the worst team in Southern Miss history.
It would be a running clock in the second half.
Yeah, and that's with a JUCO head coach calling offense.
Yeah.
It's not good, guys. And indoor practice facility, that wouldn't be bad to have. From what I understand, it was Reed Coliseum, IPF, and then Pete Taylor was the top three, and I think soccer and them are in there too somewhere. So,
and that master plan is to bring them kind of over by Reed Green, and I think utilizing those intramural fields.
Yep, and I think that's kind of the plan. But basketball is first because Reed Green is the yurt. I love it, but it's still the yurt. But yeah, they just got to upgrade facilities. But the one thing they need to do is get a new coach in here with a lot of energy. I think there's players here that could be very good. You just have to get the right person in here to be with those guys 365 days a year and train them. And I think if you get the right crew in here to do that, make some adjustments with with what they're eating, with their nutrition, I think there's plenty of talent here. The recruiting, the transfer portal has been great. Now, they talked about the director of operations. All the director of operations does is make sure they travel and they have food when they get there and maybe order lunch and stuff during fall camp. But they're not really doing big they don't do big budget deals. That goes up higher than them. So I'm not going to blame the Dobo, but it's kind of odd that he didn't have any type of experience before he comes into a major D1 program.
Hey, Heath, let me ask you
So that's a little odd.
You like being in tune with the team and the portal and everything, and seeing all of these several teams in the Sun Belt have completely overhauled their roster in just one season. So let's just assume we have a new staff next year. How many players from this current team are on the team next year?
That's a great question because just like ULM,
I mean, is it going to be in
75, 73?
Yeah, is it going to be in that range?
I think it could be in the 50s range, and I think because of the collective, which is really good in the Sun Belt, I think they can afford that. Mm-hmm. ULM, here's where they're going to have issues next year. They do not have a collective. All those good players they got in are going to want to get paid. Okay, and they're going to want to go somewhere. Hardy. So I think Southern Miss with the Southern Miss with the collective they have, they're in good shape if they've got to. That kid's good. So is his family.
Yep.
If you with the collective, I think Southern Miss can do very well in the portal in the Sun Belt. So that's not an issue to me. The turnover at this point, I think that they can do a turnover. Somebody can come in. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to come in and 40 to 45 of them are gone.
Yeah.
And let's start that's not, and that may not be a bad thing, guys. There may be some reasons guys need to go. There may be some reasons guys need to stay. Maybe some guys need other guys to go so they can get their time to shine. So I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. I used to think it was, but seeing what Texas State and ULM and others have done, overhauling the team may not be a bad deal at this time, especially when a lot of them are already graduates anyway. There's a lot
of post-bac guys.
So I think they're going to be fine going in the portal, getting players. Mm-hmm. As long as you got somebody that can develop them, I think Southern Miss is a great place to land if you're a young coach. Maybe if you're out and say, I don't know, maybe Las Vegas might be a good place for you to land in Hattiesburg. Just saying. Wouldn't mind seeing him show up in Hattiesburg. That would be kind of nice, especially when he only makes $350,000 as the offensive coordinator out there. Southern Miss could pay him pretty good money to be a head coach, I think. So we'll see what happens. But
UNLV guy,
Marion, UNLV offensive coordinator, he makes $350,000 out there.
And they're
Southern
up
Miss
right
could
now
pay him
on
pretty
Oregon
well.
State.
Well,
I think they scored about 40
in
points
Las
every game.
Vegas. That goes along. It goes a bit further in Hattiesburg.
So cost of living slightly different.
Yeah, he could do pretty well in Hattiesburg, and rumor is he wants to get in the Southeast. So who knows what'll happen? There's a lot of good candidates, young candidates. I think Southern Miss needs to go young. I think if Southern Miss is having to hire a coach every 2 to 3 years because they're successful, that's fine.
I'm perfectly
I think that means
fine
Southern
with
Miss
it.
is going to bowl games and winning championships. Yep. So get a young guy in here, let it be a stepping stone, and go on.
Love it.
I agree. Heath, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Y'all
Heath.
have a good one. Be
too.
safe.
Talk to you, buddy. I've been trying to get caught up on all these comments. I want to get everybody.
And I did want to clear one earlier. Destiny was like, don't hate on the burners. I'm definitely not hating. I was just stating a fact that we have to kind of be on. I kind of have to be on the mute button if I don't see somebody's name on here. So just
yeah, right.
Yeah. No offense. I love the burners. I think they're great. I think that's what makes all this Southern Miss Twitter nation special for sure.
No doubt.
And Brian from Bogalusa is not making a Twitter for ULL. Sorry, Gary.
And I think I am getting finally caught up on all of these comments, but these are great.
Yeah, and I agree. Eagle Ball earlier, you talked about Jalen Washington is good. Yeah, I mean, I think Jalen Washington's going to be a superstar if we can keep him and block for him.
Yeah, I mean, we have running backs kind of, out the ass. It's just,
I mean, just APR is just
being able
something to consider. Like, I know that tweet went viral with Pete Tamel or whatever you pronounce his name that we talked about on the Thursday night. It's important, and I feel like that may be the driving factor behind why McLean hasn't really come out and said anything or done anything or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, like, a lot of these kids are either already graduated and done with football or they're transferring out. And so, unfortunately, our APR is not in a great spot anyway. And then, if you have all this exit, or you don't have people that don't do well, it could really affect us, and then it could potentially hurt a coach that comes in here. We go to a bowl game and then we're not eligible to play in that bowl. So you don't want that to happen, especially with a fan base that's hungry for wins and bowl games. So
no doubt.
A lot to think about. I think there's a lot more moving pieces than people realize.
Well, this has been cathartic yet again. I really hope that we can do one of these one time where we can just go down a different avenue.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one year that we finally won a game and we stayed out there and karaoke'd at the tailgate. Remember that?
Yeah, and you had some pipes.
Yeah, I can bring the heat every now and then.
Luke Combs. Why are you mad?
Luke Combs. All right. Anybody else? Because we're over, and I got...
Yeah, I missed church last week. Got to go tomorrow. So, well, I'll tell you what. Thank you so much for people that tuned in and stayed on and called in. And whether we agree or disagree, we all want the Eagles to do better, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hey, how about this visor?
I love it.
Baller.
Love it.
Hit up Rally Bike if you're interested in one. Hats, visors, and there's another design out there. So bikes, 2 new ones, and got some more stuff coming. So go check them out. Golden Garb on Twitter, or just reach out to the Rally Bike.
Yep. Remember, everybody, you can follow me at Bumper J. Bailey and Patrick at P. Lowry. Follow us on all the social at To The Top Talk. And don't forget about the mailbag, tothetoptalk@gmail.com. Hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, hit it.
Bright side, guys, basketball starts Tuesday.
That's fair.
Love it.
Rack him. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell somebody to the top today. And as always, Southern Miss.
To the top.
Talk.
I could play
Matt Wallner, baby.
for Alabama, USC,
Why you mad?
or Notre Dame.
Thanks, guys.
You
Enjoyed
have
it.
lots
To the
We're
top.
out of here.
of things to